Hey, if you're running into people that are skeptical or not telling you their problem in sales conversations, or you're running an AI business or a marketing agency, you'll find this live training useful. Actually watch through it, take notes, because you're going to find a lot of the use cases that are in here are probably applying to the conversations that you're having as well, or your team are having. Enjoy, take notes, and apply.
Hey, Chirag, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good, good. How are you?
I'm just doing pretty good. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I have two questions. One question is like some of the leads that come in, again, just to give you context, I sell helping people how to launch like a AI business, like a BizUp, which is it's
To
really
Christians,
faith
right?
oriented and people more so come into it like
Or
really faith
Christian or
oriented.
the Islamic. Yeah, yeah. Launch. Yeah.
Yeah. So my question is like, I guess some people who are retired and and I just asked them, okay, so like, what even then has you looking to start a business? They're like, oh yeah, I'm just bored. I'm not the type of person who wants to sit around. So I don't think I mean, is that a good enough problem? Because it kind of to me it sounds like I don't think this. I mean, is that I'm just thinking in my head like, is that the reason somebody's going to pay like 5, 10, even 20,000? I don't think so. So that's what I wanted to ask you about that. Like, how can I maybe get a problem out of that?
Yeah, yeah. So when do you ask it? I've got two. There's
Just
two.
go, yeah. So I just kind
Carry
of
on.
go into like, so I asked them like, what do you do for work right now? And they're like, oh, I'm retired. So, okay. And then I
Yeah.
asked them like, so what shifted then recently that made you look at potentially starting a business rather than just kind of enjoying your retirement and like doing that? And they're like, oh yeah, I'm bored. I don't want to. I'm not the type of person who wants to just sit around all day and do nothing.
Yes. Okay. So you're using the what shifted question, right? One second. My tablet went back page, right?
Yeah.
So it's a type of rationale question you're using. What shifted that question? And you can just give a ballpark answer. What percentage of the time does that give you a good, genuine answer?
Just to help you understand better, like we have a manager and he's kind of using NAPQ, but he's verbalizing it to not use that because he's like, yeah, you should not ask like the do you like question because he's
Do you have to use this question? What shifted?
not necessarily like his way of selling is more so like, what do you do for work right now? And then
Yeah.
he tries to get a goal out of that, like what's the goal with the business? And then
Yeah.
his problem question is like, so what's the number one thing preventing you from getting goal? I just don't feel like that's productive way to sell. I just don't enjoy it. So I just asked them like what shifted. So that's kind of like my problem question of how I get
Okay,
there.
let's explore that for a second because from my experience, I
Mm.
found the what shifted question quite often leads to these unreliable answers because it's quite generic,
Mhm.
right? Gives them an out just to say anything. And so what is it about this question? What don't you like about what's the number one reason you haven't, what was the question?
because
Something you
because
haven't
they
achieved.
yeah because when I ask them that question they don't go into like because I'm not making enough money because they go into like I don't know how to do I don't know how to do marketing. They just kind of give me like a mini ideal criteria because I don't think that's a problem. If somebody says I don't know how to do I want to learn that. So
Okay,
that's
you want to talk about the negative in their current experience, right?
yeah.
Well, we talked a bit about this last time.
Yeah.
I think the question, and this is again my opinion, it would be based on data. I don't love the question of what's shifted because
Hmm.
when I've seen it used, it typically gets the type of answers you're getting, which is just like it seems like it's the right answer, but it's just like them telling you stuff, right? Which isn't
Yeah.
the truth. So you find do you find the goal?
Yeah, so I asked them like, what's the outcome? They either tell me eventually I want to make more money, I want to give more to my family, and all that stuff.
Okay, I would ask how long have you wanted that for?
Okay,
Right. Okay. And then if you want to find the real thing, okay, so what has us here today? What has us speaking here today?
but just to give you context, there's no like no YouTube videos, no Facebook videos. It just like they saw ad, they don't even know what we do.
They don't know what you do at all.
No, they just know it's kingdom oriented, and that's it. That's the reason why they book a call. And sometimes they don't even like watch
Yeah.
the pre-call videos. They just jump on the call saying like, "Hey,
Well,
you."
it's not about you, but that's the point, right? Is
Hmm.
it's the intention on the question, and you might want to change the wording of that. You might need to
Hmm.
get it to land, right? Is okay, what do you want? Well, I want to make more money, want to make more money, blah blah blah, right? Okay, that's not uncommon. And how long have you wanted that for? For genuinely, how long have you wanted that for? For the past 4 years? Is that it? No, I've wanted it for longer. Okay, for how long? Just to be accurate, right? Okay, for 6 years. Okay. So what is it about? So since we're talking here today, but you've wanted it for 6 years, then you need a question, right? Like what has us speaking here today? About what in your current situation then, if you wanted this for 6 years, has us speaking here today? A question like that, right? Again, you'd have to test it to see if that one is the one that works.
Can I ask a question? Like, why the reason why I asked that because I want to understand like your thought process. Like, why would you ask them how long have you like wanted to make more money for?
Because it's if somebody because the reality is this, right? If somebody's there's with a problem, there's with a problem, if we've been tolerating it for ages, but now we're going out to speak to somebody about it, there's something that's propelled that, right? That's why you're asking the what shifted question, right? Ultimately.
Yeah.
So there's something that's happened that in their life that now feels like, oh, I should go act on this. Now, they might tell you it's the ad, right? In which case you have to get rid of that answer. Well, besides that, though, because I can't imagine you click on every ad, right? Oh, yeah, I just really like what you guys are talking about the kingdom. Yeah, I understand that, though. I can imagine you've cared about the kingdom for a while, right? What I'm meaning more is, would you start a bit? You might even have a frame like this. Would you start a business if you were start a business if you're just getting a repeat of your current experience? No. Okay, so what is it that we want to change in your current experience, right? So sometimes people sometimes avoid the question because they've been avoiding reality. So it's not always that the first question lands. It's more about the fact that they have a pattern inside them, and we've got to go through the loops with them until we get to the truth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's basically it doesn't matter. I think for your case here, it's rare that you're going to get a question that you construct that will always get you a good answer on the first go because of the fact that their mental pattern is to quote unquote procrastinate in some way. So what you want is to have these different layers to go to when they don't give you the answer that consistently gets the right answer out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You could steal the ones I just gave you. I'm sure the recording comes back in some way, right?
Yeah.
But do you see why I like to go to time frame? Because when I
Mm-hmm.
get the context of time frame, it then doesn't. I always have something to go back to, which is like, hey, you wanted this 8 years ago, or hey, if we spoke 4 years ago, you would have wanted the same thing. What I'm wondering is, since we're speaking here today, it must be something about your current experience you want to change. Otherwise, I mean, even I wouldn't turn up to a call like this, right? Why wouldn't I
Yeah.
wouldn't speak to someone, right? So what is it that you want to change? That way I can see if I can give you that.
Can I ask you that? Would you be asking like every prospect out, or you just when you see somebody's pretty old?
Should we role play it and you can experience it
Yeah,
as a
sure.
prospect, right?
Yeah.
So the question you ask is what's the goal? I'm going to just roughly do it, right?
Yeah.
So with starting the business, what's the goal that you want to achieve? What's the outcome?
Yeah, I wanna, wanna obviously serve the Lord, and I wanna give more to others, and obviously more to my family. So
Is it sorry, for me it's not obvious, right? Is it obvious? Is that what you truly want?
yeah. I mean, I'm a big believer.
So I apologize again. I don't know, right? Is it that it's not that I know. Is it that you know, like I know, which is
Yeah,
a
yeah. I mean, I
I
love.
don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say like I love giving more to others. I love giving more to my family. I got two daughters and two grandkids, so I wanna give more to them
Okay,
so
so
they
it's
can have.
about giving more, right?
Yeah.
Giving more to them in terms of what?
Yeah, like more finances because I'm
Finances, yep.
retired, so
Finances and time, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's typically why people come to us. How long have you wanted that? Genuinely.
I mean since they were born, right? Like 20, 30 years now. I want to give more every day. I want
Is
to.
it 20 or 30 years? Just for accuracy, buddy.
Yeah, yeah, more so like 30.
30, yeah. If it's been 30, the question that comes to mind is what has us speaking more today?
I mean, I saw an ad, thought it was pretty compelling, and it's talking about kingdom.
That's us, the kingdom. But you've probably wanted the kingdom for a while. And I can't imagine you click on every ad, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about your search history, right? But more, can I explain why I'm asking this for a second?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Main reason being is if you've wanted this for 30 years, right? But now you're speaking to me, it's more about understanding what do you genuinely want to change. I
Yeah,
can see if I can give you that, right?
yeah. I just want to have like more income, so I can give more to them because I'm retired and I'm a veteran, so I just got this income coming in, and that's it. I cannot work.
What is it about the income and your situation?
Yeah, it's fixed, so I only get like.
Again, I've got to apologize because I don't know. You've said that a few times.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to say like it's fixed. So because I'm a disabled veteran, so I just have 5,000 coming in every month. I want to make more, but I cannot find a job or something like that. And I honestly don't want to work for somebody because I always wanted to be my own boss. So
I could go a bit more into that there, but does that make sense?
yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I was super confused when you I don't know what you were talking about. I was super confused about that. Like, did you say I don't know or something like that? Like,
Yeah, I didn't handle it the best. Could do it a bit more, but I pick up on you know, and I pattern a
Oh
lot.
yeah,
But,
I didn't even notice I was saying. Okay.
yeah, pattern interrupt, you know, there might just be a role play thing. It's not every prospect does that.
Yeah.
It's like I pattern interrupt to be like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was
Because
confused
what
about.
happens is, do you know why? Do you know why I do that?
Yeah, probably just I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't know.
Yeah, because what happens is when people say you know, what they're trying to do is they're trying to like connect with you unconsciously, but they're also separating themselves from the experience, which means that change work can't happen. This actually comes more from advanced therapy stuff, actually. Whereas if the person's divorced from the actual experience, they can't actually get a change. So that's why you want to pick up on that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense. Yeah.
so long story short, we spent a bit of time on this question, right? Is
Yeah.
I would come up, this is what I would do, is come up with a better question than what shifted, and then go back to time frame and then have these loops that you go through because it's going to be common that they avoid answering this question.
So just to recap, like a goal, how long, situation, and because just to also ask you this, because I don't always ask what shifted. I ask them like, so if they want to make more money, I ask like, so why not just make more money in your current job and like work more hours that way, rather than starting a business? And then they give me
That's a
an answer
rationale
that way.
question.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's another way you could do it. Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Okay. Good. Yeah. So
Eventually they'll give information to pick on. Like you finally gave veteran and finally gave something, right?
yeah.
And then you can just pick up on that, right? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Okay, cool. Right, we'll go to Jorge. Go for it. I think you're next.
I guess so. How's it going?
Hey, good, good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. So my question was typically around the question when I ask kind of like what's held you back from getting, hands-on help in the past. A lot of the times the externalization I get is money instead of the internal, which is lack of resourcefulness. And so I was wondering like how to actually shift that in the discovery to actually get them to admit that it's been a lack of resourcefulness without directly challenging them because it could also be logistical. So how would you handle
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Okay, so you've got a question like in the NEPQ. It's like, okay, what do you sell, by the way?
So right now, career coaching, which is
You're doing
interesting
career
because
coaching.
our leads are recently unemployed and only 20% are just looking to switch careers. So it kind of comes up more often.
So, okay, you've got two avatars. So one, actually, I assume there is everybody recently unemployed.
80%.
80%. Okay.
Yeah.
So you go 80%, you're going through and you ask, okay, what's held you back from how do you word the question?
So first I say kind of like what's been, your approach. They admit it hasn't worked. And I'm like, okay, so like what's actually kind of held you back from getting this hands-on help so you can streamline this process and get XYZ job?
Yeah. And they would say, what wording do they use then?
Typically they're like, I don't know. I'm like, well, if you really thought about it. And it goes one of two routes, which is either I didn't know this existed, which is pretty easy to handle,
Yeah.
or I just, these programs are so expensive, I just don't have the money, that sort of thing.
Yeah. What you want them to do is to own it and say that they're willing to be resourceful, right?
Correct.
Do they always say these programs are expensive and I don't have the money?
No, they say if they say money, they say a version of that, which is
Yeah.
like, I've just been without a job, and so this is expensive. It's kind of like I'm not sure if I'm using the correct way of the definition, but it's kind of like a double negative. Like the reason they don't do it and the reason they have to do it is the same thing.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, this is good because what you're uncovering is their decision-making anchor, and you want to get them to being resourceful. So we need a
Yeah.
frame, right? The one I like. Have you thought of a frame to use here? Let's start there.
I've thought of a couple. The first one I thought of was, money can't be the reason we need to do it, the reason we don't do it. But that seems to be a little bit too intense to start off. And so Coach
Yeah,
Caden gave me like, I guess, a frame to put on of informing them of the different structures in the market. So like on one hand, you have the AI resume builders, which are $40. On the other extreme, you have like a syndicate, which is like 50,000, but it's going to give you a ton of connections. And then you have like this happy medium, which most people go for, which kind of like help you do it, which are anywhere from 5 to 15,000. So that kind of like lowers their stress a bit in terms of at the end of the call when it's 7K.
who gave you that? Well, that's price anchoring.
Okay, gotcha. That's pricing. So
That's called price anchoring. But yeah, who gave you that frame?
Coach Caden.
Oh, Caden did. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 I don't mind it, right? Because if their whole mentality is this is really expensive, I don't mind it.
Yeah. Typically, he says to do it before I even get to that question. So maybe I'm using it wrong. But the second analogy I had
No, I think it's
was,
good to use there. It's good to use there.
oh, really? So once they give, like it's too expensive.
Yeah. 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 Carry on.
Okay, interesting. So the second analogy I kind of had was, God forbid somebody you love was in the hospital and the bill was 5K, you'd find a way to make it work, right? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, why? Well, because it's important. I'm like, awesome. So, the beauty that humans have is that we have the ability to get resourceful for things we care about. So reality, like how much do you actually care about this?
Yeah, I don't mind that frame either. Yeah. I mean, there's different frames you can put in. It's just the one that you feel that would land the most with you. There's another one that I have in my brain that we've used for career improvement before. It's, hey, if you're running a sales team and you want them at a high level of consistency, then you probably have some questions, a new perspective that might be helpful. It is come along to the workshop on Wednesdays that are on. You'll see the link below. The main thing here, right, is you just to understand the psychology and mechanics of this. The information you're getting is really good because it's now you're understanding the decision-making process, right?
Yeah.
And with decision-making, we're always anchoring it against something. So they're telling you, which is good, they're telling you what are they anchoring it against, right? And then we need to work with this, right?
What are they anchoring it against in that scenario? Against the money, you're saying?
They're anchoring it against my money situation, right? Or they're
Okay.
anchoring it against trust. I don't trust somebody else, right?
Interesting.
Because saying that these programs are expensive, I don't have the money, you've got to discern that, which is that a resources thing? And I'll try and show you a model here a second, right? So I've got a model to this, which is, and I'll go through this real quickly because of time, ultimately.
Sure.
There's a model that I have to objections or beliefs that you pick up early in the conversation, which is like 4 different levels. There's the behavior, which is I haven't looked, I haven't done much, I didn't move forward. You're the first person I came across, right? And then we've got the surface level thought, which is basically time or money, right? And then I have these different categories, and this isn't necessarily exhaustive, but tends to be ones that I like. So find the real reason. In your case, when someone says these programs are expensive, I don't have the money, that's telling you it's probably a resources thing. I want to do it, but I don't have the resources, right? But it could also mean trust. So I just want to double check what that really means, right? So you can just ask a question. When you said that, what does that really mean, right? And then from there, we can handle that thing, which is what we're talking about now. Then we need a frame. Ultimately, the frame that will land isn't necessarily Caden's frame or your frame. Well, actually, it's more likely to be your frame.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. You just with a frame, like for example, we're here with Matt, right? We're Matt's training group. So when I worked for Matt at Sales Sniper, he had this thing called the island analogy, which he might teach still, right? To deal with fear objections.
Yeah.
I never got that to land, even though I understood it. The whole thing, I got it to land once because when it comes to the frame, you need to, you yourself have to be able to relate to it.
Yeah.
Right. Another frame I'll give you because you might like it is it's easier if people have gone through that type of experience before, right? Rather than if your family member got really ill, this like hypothetical analogy. So for here, you can ask, this would be the frame, be something like, and did you go to college? Would most of them say yes, right? Now, how much did you pay?
I got a scholarship.
You got a scholarship, so you paid nothing?
No, I had to pay 50,000 out of pocket. So I got a loan
Why
for
did
that.
you ultimately? What did you want to get out of it?
Because I knew it would give me the ability to provide for the life I wanted. I had a passion for it, and I wanted a consistent income.
And did you have all of the 50K?
No, I had to borrow some from my parents and actually get a loan from the bank.
Which means you had to borrow some and get resourceful, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, because when we're in a situation like you are and what the job market's in, as you know right now, right?
Yeah.
Is it more about the resources that you have to change your situation or getting resourceful?
What do you mean?
Yeah, that question.
Like, is it more about the resources I have or getting resourceful? I mean, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I guess getting
I don't have to
resourceful.
be right, right? It's just, I guess why do you feel that's correct to help change your situation and ultimately get what you want?
Well, because like with college, like I didn't have all the resources.
And that's my question for you ultimately. This can be a no, is are you willing to do what you've done in the past?
Yeah, well, like for the right scenario, like it really depends on what you guys have,
Does it depend on me or does it depend more on your choice?
Well, both, right? Because I could make a choice to invest in program and it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm asking, right? What I meant is, I'll explain why I'm asking this, because rather than this get awkward, is it's I can give somebody the keys to the best gym in the world, right? But if they have something they're telling themselves, then they might not ever go. So the question I've got for you is, you've done this in the past, and we know what the job market is like. It's just whether you're willing to be resourceful. In fact, what I would do here, Jorge, I'll pause it there, is if this can get into a ding dong match, if you haven't got a little bit here, if you haven't got into the future stuff, the other stuff you need in the discovery. If you end your discovery here, it's fine, right? But what I would do is put in that frame in some way, and then I'm going to pick this up later in the consequence area. I'd do it in the consequence area.
So when they say, I don't have the money, you ask the college question and you just get them to admit that they're resourceful and you leave. You're like, okay, and then you continue, and
Oh
then
my,
in context,
yeah, I would go to, yeah, okay, so you have been resourceful before and you know you can be. Something
yeah,
like
I
that.
have.
Yeah. And then later what I would do is then come back to it into the consequence in the consequence. I would place that in the consequence area because that's the whole crux of the sale, right?
Could I ask like how you would place in the contract? Like what happens if nothing changes? Well, I don't get a job and this continues to happen. So then I can ask, so what do we have to actually let go, or what do we have to do, or what do we have to shift internally
Yeah,
for that?
I'll show you my map, right? I don't actually use this one that much anymore, but I'll show you what I mean. So for me, the point of the consequence question is to get rid of the objection, get rid of the wrong thinking or wrong thinking in the way, right?
Mhm.
So let's say I don't I mean what do you normally do before the consequence? Do you do standard like NEPQ future pacing?
Yeah, I do commitment phase
You do commitment phase after or before?
before, before. So
You
like
do
why
commit
now? Yeah,
you do
exactly.
why now? What do they normally say?
Because the job market isn't getting any easier, because I'm running out of money, because I want a job,
And that's
those
what I
types
would
of
do. Then I would go back in like this. And you don't have to do it this way, but to see if this resonates, I
things.
would recommend it a lot because with consequence questions, it's easy for them to know the surface level consequences, right?
Yeah.
But to tackle the main point, I'll show you what I mean. So you say that thing, and I'll be like, that's my genuine concern for you here. Genuinely is what are the chances? That's my box here. What are the chances you get out of that worry if we stay focused on the lack of resources you have now?
Instead of becoming resort. Okay. So that's kind of like Matt's question of like, with your current process, how close are you to what you actually want?
Yeah, that type of question. Yeah. Just
Okay.
I've
I
found
like
that
how
this question across clients that I've helped with a lot makes a huge difference. It
I like
is you can either put in the identity or you put in the stumbling block, right? Into the question. What are the chances if they get stuck here? One of the little trick I'll give you is to remove their ego. Is let's say, oh, I'll figure it out. Let's say something like that. No, I mean, I apologize. How would anybody in this current job market where for each job imagine you're the hiring manager, you're getting 200 people per job apply for your job. How would anybody realistically get out of the worry of not having a role and the money and everything if they don't get the resources together to have somebody give them a leg up? And they're gonna be
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, yeah. And then from there I go to yeah. So what happens if you don't?
Okay. I like that. Okay. So you bring it on to another person because it's easier to kind of shit on them. And then when they admit that, you bring it back to them.
Yeah, because there's the thing about ego, right? There's ego involved in their strategy and what they're currently doing, right? That's commonplace. So I don't mind that because I've understood that in myself. Like, oh, I am doing this. I'm already doing this. I'm gonna figure it out. It's just ego. So I never handle that. I just go to, oh, I apologize. What I meant was, how would anybody?
Okay.
And then that
Typically,
always lands on how would anybody?
I like that. It's a lot less because typically I go, but like, yeah, but you haven't. But that's a lot more combative. Their ego gets flared more, so I like that one more. So just quickly, just so I can write it down. So what are the chances that we can actually get out of the worry XYZ problem if we continue holding on to kind of this lack of resources being the reason we can't do this? Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then if
Yeah, so
they
basically the syntax of that question becomes what are the chances? Then you insert either are they running away from a problem or have you found out, have they told you an identity that they're being? That's really powerful to put in there, a negative identity they're being. Or you put in the aspirational identity. But in your case, they want to get out the worry. That's the real motivator, right? If they say that, put in their words, what are the chances insert that if you, and then insert in the wording, the correct syntax wording with that belief, obstacle, whatever it is in the way. The other frame I
okay.
would use on your calls, by the way, is what I just suggested there in some way at some point on the call. Like imagine you're the hiring manager. These days you're getting
Yeah.
200 applications.
Mhm.
How are you going to sort through them?
Yeah.
How are you going to pick the person that stands out? Are you going to pick the person? I don't know how you guys solve the offer. How do you guys get them a better get them a better role?
So it's four things. Pardon because I've only been on that for like about a week. The first thing is we optimize the resume. The second thing is we kind of give them the scripts and the ability to actually network with decision makers. The third thing is we give them kind of the ability to master interviews and negotiation tactics. And the fourth thing is we actually work on their confidence because a lot of these people have applied to 100 jobs and gotten no responses, and so we show them how to show up as the prize.
Okay. Okay. So it's more like it's not like you open up doors for them. It's more like how they are showing up.
Correct. It's not placement. We just put them in the best position to be able to actually have the job they want.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. 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 Yeah, so that's one thing you can build a frame on, yeah, which is like, okay, if you're getting 200 people in and everyone looks at a similar level, how are you going to decide between them? How would you decide between them? Yeah, you would decide
Mhm.
the person that shows up the most confident in some way, right? Yeah, getting that point to land. You can do that earlier on, but I'll share that with you. It's quite a good frame because often what happens is they're caught in their shoes rather than in the shoes of the hiring manager, etc., and they don't connect the dots.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot
Okay.
I gave you there. Yeah, that should help.
Thank you so much, Rock. That was amazing.
Cool. No, you're welcome, buddy. All right, we'll go to Carlos. Go for it, Carlos.
Yeah, hello, hello. Can you hear me?
I can, buddy. Yeah, go for it. What's the question?
Yeah, so basically, I help painting businesses grow, and I was getting towards the end, and then this guy, basically, the whole system is 7,500 for 12 weeks, and he said that was a little bit too much. I clarified, okay, money aside, would you do this? Yes. Why do you feel like it?
Yeah.
And then I ended up finding out that he actually didn't have the money, and then so we broke it down to the second one, which is 3,750. And yeah, he said like, yeah, that works between his budget, but he just wanted to, see a couple reviews and just basically think about it. And so I then went into fear. I gave the analogy of the Iceland, because he already told me before that he hopped on other calls with other people, but
Yep.
that he didn't buy. So that was like 4 months ago. And so my question is, because at the end, after I told him the Iceland analogy, he was laughing and he was like, yeah, you're right. I
You
mean,
did
I'm
the
never gonna know
analogy.
fully.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was still like, I don't know, man. Like, I just barely met you. I don't feel confident giving you that amount of money.
Okay. So
It's,
he's
it's
got trust. He's got a trust
yeah,
issue.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like my question there, I was like, okay, so how are you gonna decide then eventually? Because I mean, you talk to this guy, he has reviews. This other guy as well. How are you eventually gonna find out? But I don't feel like I got nowhere after that.
Yeah.
What would you suggest that I could have done instead?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, in the objection handling phase, like in general, this I would have done the pre-handling of this, right? There are things you can do and have an objection handling map as well. So what the thing that you didn't do, why this came up, just based on that context, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, right? Is when he told you that I didn't move forward with somebody, you'd want to find out why not ultimately, right? What
Yeah,
genuinely caused you not to? Because then
yeah,
what that allows us to do, going back to this model, it's all about this model basically, right? Is he's told you this model, the first level, he's told you the behavior. I've looked, but I didn't move forward, right? Now I've written this here, which is when you get these types of answers here, you can tell the future, right?
yeah.
They will give you a think about it, TAI, or partner objection. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because their behavior pattern has been to delay.
Yeah.
Just describing it without judgment, right? Here's a key lesson that I learned from experience that is if you stop at their behavior and try to tackle it later, they will resist change. Instead, we have to go down the levels, right? So from
Yeah.
here, if I would have said this, well, I looked at these businesses, but I didn't move forward, I would be like, okay, so you've looked at a few. Genuinely, what just caused you not to move forwards?
Yeah.
Right? I
Yeah. So
prefer that language to language of what prevented you or what held you back, because both of those things can have ego involved. Well, nothing prevented me, right? I wasn't held back, right? But what
Yeah.
caused you to takes out ego, right?
What causes you? Okay. Yeah, the way I said it, it was more like, oh, I mean, who did you actually look at? They told me their names. Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
they're decent. What actually caused you not to move forward with them?
Yeah, yeah. That's some Jeremy Miner stuff. Yeah. What happened then? What did he say?
He said like, oh, it's because I always like to, see other guys before making a decision if I'm gonna make an investment like this.
Yeah. Then I would be like, no, I would go to no, what was it? What was it really?
I see.
Right? I would do something like that with them.
Yeah. So I just took the surface level basically there. Because
Yeah,
I just
because
went then to like, okay,
he
shift
still
it
just
now.
said the same thing, right? He's still saying something. Oh, this is my behavior. We're dealing with this, right?
Yeah.
So you want to go back in there and find it, right? And if they get stuck,
Mhm.
I can't imagine you want to speak to, I don't know, just men on the internet, right? We could be talking about
Yeah.
something else now. I might just throw in a joke like that, right? And be like, okay,
Mhm.
what's it? What's it really? What's it really? And I'm only asking because if I can give it, we can talk about it. If I can't give it, then zero issue at all. What was it really? You see, I
I
just
see.
detached myself from it as well because I just genuinely want to find out like what's going on here, right? Because if
Yeah.
you don't get to it, there's something going on with you being able to get results in anything. We don't find out.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So I should have dig deeper instead of taking that first level type of answer, right?
Yeah, this trust one was one that stumped me for a while. Like, how do I deal with this objection, right? Of this type, which is I don't trust your solution providers. Or
Yeah.
there's burn before as well, which is just a subset of that. I've had a bad experience, right? And that is affecting how I now think and act. How do we deal with trust? on the call?
I'd say separating it into trust in the product and trust in themselves.
Yeah, we can do. Yeah, which is like, okay, that would be the whole sequence more of like, okay, well, who did you go with? What happened? Were there people in that program that did have success? Okay, so why do you think you didn't have success? That would be that sequence, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just that they just don't trust other people.
So would you give like an analogy there, like reframe them, or how would you actually like?
You could, we'd have to come up with
Yeah.
one, right? What would you do?
I'd probably say like, hey, have you ever had an ex-girlfriend in the past?
That's a
Probably
burn
say,
before one. Yeah, yeah,
okay. And then like, yeah, I mean, that didn't stop you from finding your wife, didn't it?
yeah,
So like trying to find new people and okay, so that's being burned before. And what
yeah,
about trust? Because I'm guessing that's a different one, right?
yeah. So I
Maybe
would,
I'd say like, do you have
yeah, go for it.
kids? Do you have kids? Yeah. Have they ever done something you didn't want them to do? Yep. I mean, does that stop you from like ever trusting your kids again? Or like did you learn from the experience and maybe do things differently? Probably say something like that. I'm not sure. Just making it up.
Just make it up. That's not bad. Yeah, I don't mind that one. It's the first time I heard that one. I don't mind it either. Yeah, it's one, it needs to land for you, right? You can have a frame. The simplest way to handle a lot of these, by the way, is that's good if they have
Mm-hmm.
kids. Sometimes they might not, right? Depends on your
Yeah.
avatar.
Yeah.
So again, you could just throw it back in the chances box at consequence later. So you can label it and be like, oh, it's a case of trusting people, trusting someone, right? Then you can take
Mm-hmm.
it to ideal criteria. Okay, what do you feel you need to see? We need to see to actually, what do you feel you need to actually trust someone, and define that
Mm-hmm.
criteria. And then you could be like, well, did the last guys give you that? Give you that? Yeah, they did. Okay. So yeah, we'll have to talk about this trust thing. We can talk about it in a bit. I might then park it and then and then bring it up later in chances. Or you can start to put in a frame,
Yeah. You start putting them in new frame.
because that's the main
Okay.
stumbling block for this guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was
If he
just
starts
trust.
trusting again, then he will go with you.
Pretty much, yeah. Because at the end, we just scheduled like a follow-up call, and he just wanted to call one of my clients. But I just feel like it's not enough, because he can call everybody's clients, and I think he's gonna be on the same boat.
Yeah, there's the other way you can handle this is you can start to build. I won't go into it too much, but you can start to build. If you know that's the common objection, you can start to build these identity behavior frames, label them, what they normally think, the consequences of being in that, right?
Yeah,
So your offer is for business owners, right?
yeah, for business owners,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it does typically happen. Not all. I'd say probably like 30-40% of people usually say that.
Is it
So
whose offer is it? Is it your offer? Are you working on it?
yeah, it's my offer. Yeah,
Your offer. Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. And you're giving what, like business coaching, scaling,
Uh,
consulting?
so like marketing agency basically, just
Okay,
get
you're
them the
doing an
leads.
agency.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm working with an agency now. Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
the main thing is to build this. I would also look at what, with trust in particular, what is,
Mhm.
you can do a lot of good stuff in what you're, I'm working on with this with another hands-on with another agency now to pre-handle it in the pre-material. I'd be doing a lot of that.
Pre-material.
Yeah, whatever they get, like whatever they get, the VSL or whatever they see before they jump on with you.
Oh yeah. And we do have like a
And it's,
BSL and like those
yeah.
videos, like why should you trust us? Because that one is a common objection. But it seems
Mhm.
like they don't watch it because contractors they just don't like to watch videos for some reason.
Yeah, that means you
So
need to
that's
change.
like
Yeah, we need to change
yeah.
that. There'll be some stuff in there. Why should you trust us? It's too direct and too obvious. What you
Mhm.
need to do is if they're not watching videos as well, we need to shift it to like a deck, a DSL. So it's more like a chat GPT answer type thing, right? But it's written and they would actually read it.
Yeah, so they read it instead. Yeah.
They would actually read it instead. Yeah, they might not watch the video, but if it's
Mhm.
in a written format, they will for that type of avatar. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
if you actually want help on getting eyes on this and building this stuff, then yeah, then that'd be a good thing to reach out on.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because how many trust objections do you get? What percentage of
Yeah,
them are trust?
probably like 30-40%.
It's the big one in
And
your industry. It's the big
yeah,
one in your industry. Yeah.
it's the big one for sure. And at some point, I do the reframes and stuff like that, and it's like it does work, like the Iceland analogies, because they start laughing and they're like, "Yeah,
There's
you're
too
right."
much. There's too much heavy lifting to do for you on the
Yeah,
sales call.
yeah,
It's not how people buy anymore. That's the difference, right?
yeah,
We know people
exactly.
just go to TikTok, see things, consume things. They like to consume it
Mhm.
themselves, and then almost arrive at their own idea, even though it's not really their own idea, and then
Yeah,
decide. So we need to play to that more.
yeah,
So
because once I run out of like reframes, I just sell based on conviction because I actually had my LinkedIn business. So I'm
yeah,
like, man,
nice.
if you don't do marketing, like what's gonna happen? And it gets kind of like you could say confrontative.
Yeah.
But I mean, it works sometimes. Some other people say like, "Hey, man, don't push me." But
You
yeah,
don't want
I'm
it to
still
be
working
that.
on
I'm
that.
sure you don't want it to be that way, right? Two principles
Yeah,
I'll
no.
share with you only because of time, and then we'll go to Mark. That
Yeah.
I found works for pre-handling, pre-material, right? Is truth creates trust, right?
Mhm.
So just and the if it's the pre-video or DSL even, you want to convey industry knowledge that they would never have normally because that's what they're really looking for. They want to be more informed so that they can make a better decision. So truth
Yeah.
creates trust, and with the pre-material, you're often looking for a concept to land. Like
Mhm.
there's a better way that your marketing agency gets results than other marketing agencies, right? There's a certain
Yeah.
concept that you operate by. That's the thing to land with them. Those are two big pieces. Not just, oh, I know that I obviously get this objection, so I'm going to obviously go after that in the pre-material. You can do some of
Mhm.
it, but people see through it too easily now.
Yeah. They can see through it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just to recap basically the education, like give industry knowledge that they might not heard, and second is just what makes us unique, basically, like what's different than other agencies, right?
Yeah. What is it that gets you results, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then pre-handle that. Okay. Sweet.
Cool.
Appreciate the
All right.
help, man.
No, you're welcome, buddy. We'll go to Mark. Go for it, Mark.
Yeah, my question is back to like the kind of the same thing you guys were talking about. Are you
Yeah.
against making like a VSL like mandatory before they jump on the sales call?
Not necessarily, but I guess it depends on context. What do you
Yeah,
sell and
so
who to?
I'm on an affiliate marketing offer where like we run like a 12-month affiliate mastermind. We match them with proven offers that we've already vetted from our internal database. So dealing
Yeah.
with business owners and things of that nature. Right now we don't really have anything. The marketing team is messing around with the ads and stuff on Meta. Bookings
Yeah.
have been super slow the last like 3 weeks of this month, like super slow, like maybe
Yeah.
2 or 3 a week.
What's your experience in selling?
I mean, I've been in the high ticket space for like 4 years now. I worked with a construction company. We sold homes all over the country via Google Meet. Did pretty
Yeah.
well at that. Sold about 1.5 million square feet in that. So
Okay, yeah. If you are looking for another offer, I might have one, by the way. I'm just parking that there, right? For anyone
yeah,
here,
let's
actually.
talk. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's talk.
maybe. I'm not, it's not happened yet, but I might be working on an offer, right? So that's one thing. So your question, apologies, dad brain there for a second. What was the question again?
Yeah, I was just so we're struggling to. I don't know if we're struggling. I'm new to this offer. I'm new to this industry. So
Yeah,
when people come in and they like, if on a scale from like 1 to 10, they're like at like a 2 or a 3 with like intent. I'm
yeah.
having a real hard time getting them to bridge that gap all the way to a 10, so they would buy. And
Right.
I feel like it's like a lot of heavy lifting to do on the actual sales call to get them to that intent level to move them to that 10. Would you agree with that?
Well, it should be, yeah. I mean, the intent on a sales call is not really, yeah, that means there's a break in the sales process.
Okay, and where would that be? Like top of funnel, like middle of funnel, like where would that break be? Would it be in
Yeah.
my process?
Well, I'd have to look at the sales process. Actually, we'd have to break
Sure.
it down. Like, how are people arriving to the call? But yeah,
Yeah, so
in a
their
sales
ads on
call, yeah, carry on. You got okay, you got Meta, yeah,
their ads
Meta ad,
on Meta, they go through that. They walk through like a survey funnel that gives them like a score on if they're, qualified to book or not. And then once
yeah.
they're qualified to book, they get the option to book a time.
Okay. What makes you say that the intent is 2 to 3? How are you picking that up?
Because they have no idea what we do. They just saw that they could get matched on proven offers, and that's why they clicked the ad.
No idea what you do. Yeah. So this right here as well, similar thing that Mosey would talk about is I would look at building this asset, right? In between them showing up and making sure that they'd see it. So in your case here, it is actually a big thing. If they don't know what you do, it's going to be more difficult to sell them. Is it impossible? No, but it's going to require like a lot of more like ninja skills,
Yeah.
which is not what you want to rely on an offer in particular. No.
Yeah, it's been tough.
Yeah. So yeah,
Do you think a VSL would be the easiest low hanging fruit to fix that, or?
that's what I'd be focused on. Yeah, either a VSL or building it into slides, and then either it's going to be some kind of deck or that they can flick through, or it's going to be a video. That's what I would focus on in your space. Yeah.
Yeah, before a call. So I go through like a big long, like it's like a 20 slide demo deck on the call. And
That's
so like
that might be a bit too long. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like that pushes sales results because I mean, I had pulled it up yesterday. And as soon as I pulled it up, the guy was like, "Okay, let's listen to your propaganda now." And I was like, "Motherfucker, you're already against me, and I haven't even talked yet."
Yeah, propaganda now. Yeah. Wish he was living in Europe like me. You'd get some good
Right,
propaganda.
right, yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, that's broken sales process more than anything. And that's what I would be focused on if I was you. That, by the way, guys, if you do want to work on these pre-call assets, what I've found doing this with clients is I'll give you an example. So I've worked, it's not going to be your industry, but I've worked with a roofer in Florida. And if you know anything about roofing in Florida, it's crazy competitive, right? There's like 3 times as many roofers as anyone else, anywhere else. And what we did for the video that she made was just how to go about vetting roofing contractors. That was really appropriate for that offer, right? And we're going to go back actually work together again. But she was doing really well. She had like over 100% close rate on follow-ups as well, just because of like it's really building trust and helping them have a process with how to decide. But for your industry, Mark, you've got to think, okay, you need to think about what main objections are they going to get? How am I going to handle that? But how can I do it in a way where the video is more about informing them rather than just pre-handling objections?
right,
It's more like the video is more about educating up, right? Because if they
right.
have the same data and context as you do, then typically they would buy, right? But because they
Right, we
don't,
make a better buying decision. Yeah, that makes
yeah,
sense.
because they don't, then when you come to the conversation, now I'm just thinking, oh, I've got to believe what Mark says. But that's not how we typically buy it so much these days. So what we're buying more from, unfortunate or not, is I go to TikTok or I go to YouTube or I go to AI, and whatever that says, I believe.
Yeah.
So or whatever reviews say, I believe, right? So we've got to play more to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know marketing has changed their ads this week. They just launched them yesterday to like explain more in our ads, right? Like to explain more about our process in our ads. I don't know how those are going to move, but what
Yeah.
they've been trying for this month is it's not moving the needle
The
at
main
all.
thing I would do if you're on the offer as well is understand what I call I'll go to Carlos in a minute here, right? Is I call it an X versus Y frame. Is you want to understand what is it about your offer that actually gets results over the standard, over the typical solution people get, right? As
Mm.
an example, for me, I do predominantly one-to-one training, right? I know that gets results because we get very specific. Also, the really cool thing we do, people don't realize, is we get into this abstract part of your brain that you can't access by yourself. That typically affects results a lot, right? So when I know that thing, then I can ask questions about that on if I have a conversation with somebody. So you want to if you don't know that, Mark, I would ask that to your owners. It's really important because then you get the prospects to realize doubt on what their current way of doing things or another way they might think to do things. They start to realize, oh, I don't think that makes sense.
Give me an example of what that sounds like, just so I can
Yeah,
process
I'll
it.
give you a quick other thing. So even though I don't really do YouTube, by the way, I worked with a YouTube expert. And when I met with him, he got me to realize, hey, in the sales training space, we know it's oversaturated, right? And so if I wanted to create a YouTube channel, I'd have to have a unique concept. And I was like, oh yeah, I don't know what my unique concept is. So I should probably work with this guy, right? Type thing. So you're wanting to know how do you apply this, right? I'll go back to my map so you can understand it. So we find out their outcome, right? What do they want? The current data behind it. This is a rough template for a call. It's not always like this. But let's say if it's a business outcome, I want to be making this much. Okay, what are you currently doing now? Break down all that data. Okay, then strategy would be, what are you currently doing now to go achieve this, right? Or if they're doing nothing, you would ask, people get stuck on if they're doing nothing, right? You would ask, well, what do you think you need to do to go achieve that, right? And then you've got to have a box which helps them realize doubt in some way. So going back to your question, why is it useful to have? So doubt can start in multiple ways. One of my favorite questions, and I picked this up straight from Jeremy, by the way, was, well, what do you feel you're doing or not doing in current strategy that is not getting you to outcome, right? And then they've got to start, well, if you really thought about it, I'm not really sure. Okay, well, can I make a suggestion? Can I offer a perspective? Then this data that you found about what's the specific thing that your offer does, you can insert that into a doubt-based question. So I might ask, as an example, well, what have you done in terms of working with somebody that works only and specifically on what you've got in your sales process, your sales scripting, your brain? And they start only from there, and they start to not done that, right? Or you start to realize, oh, I haven't done that, right? Or what have you done when you've worked with somebody who helps you access these abstract parts of your brain where there's these recurring patterns in your life that you keep coming back to? Well, I haven't.
We'd stay the same.
You see, you start to that's so you can start to insert what I would call them solution specific criteria into doubt questions to help them realize that they're missing something, right? Most of you guys here haven't even realized you're missing something by turning up to group calls. This is good, don't get me wrong, but there's a different level when you actually get everything's just so specific to you. Yeah.
No, I'd say going through Inner Circle a few years ago, that was like the biggest like turning point is like,
I felt like I recalled your name. That's I was like, Mark, I feel like
yeah,
when did you do Inner Circle?
like 23, like
Okay,
23,
nice. I did it
beginning
in
of
like
24.
21 or 22. I forget which year. Yeah.
Yeah. Like when I went through that, like the biggest thing was like, and for you guys, if you haven't been in like a training group before, show up, raise your hand, ask questions. The more detailed questions you can ask about your process, the better these coaches can help you. Because when you really dial into what you're doing and unlock all those subconscious things that we're not aware of, that's when you move the needle for sure.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. I'll go to Carlos. Hopefully that helps,
Yeah.
Mark. And yeah,
Thanks,
send me a
man.
message. Like I said, it hasn't started as yet. It might not even start what I'm doing, but if it does, then we can have a chat.
Yeah.
Carlos, go
Send
ahead.
you a message on school.
Yeah, go for a message on school. Yeah.
Yeah,
Carlos.
yeah. So just following up on what you were discussing with Mark about education, right? That adding a BSL. So I did hop in my competitors' calls, right? I think it's always good to analyze your competitors, see what they're doing. And the biggest guy, the salesman, he's like a walking BSL. Like he's just explaining everything. Like he doesn't even ask you like that many questions. He's just educating you, and then he just, hey, do you want to do it? And I just find it interesting, like how that works.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they're actually like successful as well, right?
Yeah.
But like they don't even ask any NAPQ questions or anything like that. So sometimes I'm guessing is because I feel like marketing services, they're like sophistication 4, right? Like they're already been burned before, they already seen everything. How does that work though? Like I was just kind of curious, like how does that guy make sales just educating?
Okay, you're understanding the difference of process, right? That's good because I literally just jumped off a client call where he, after 7 minutes, just goes into his demo, right? And we've been working on his process and it makes sense for his offer. This is what I mean about getting very specific, right? And not running with a singular model. Is, yeah, if you know, you've got to know, it matters a lot what the objections are in the space, right? If you know what the objections are and you know that almost like no amount of pre-handling of this, you're still going to get the objection at the end, that you know that the thing that gets them to decide is educating up, then that needs to be the strategy, you see. And that's what I mean about flexibility of process, which you can't get. I've tried it just through, it's always this model, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that might be the big thing for you. It is that we get them over the hump. We get them to trust you because of the educating up in your space, which I think, like I said, I've thought about this a lot for agencies, is a pretty good model. Now,
just educating.
But yeah.
Yeah, because what I was thinking of doing is kind of like doing as soon as they book a call, just call them immediately and just doing an education. Hey man, like, do you know what this is about? And just explaining how it works completely, no questions. But when we hop on a call, man, I'll show you exactly, like specifically, but then doing like the NAPQ, then the presentation and closing. What do you think about that process?
That's good. The only thing I would say is if you do that on the front end, the problem is they might arrive with a different expectation of, oh, you're just going to show me more about what you do, right? So the education piece is fine, where you can go, what I'll do is I'll send you more. And then what we'll do on the call is we'll get into the specifics of your business and how this might apply to you or might not fully, right? So we'll start there, but I can go into more detail. You want to get some of that context across, because if the expectation is, oh, I'm just going to go in and just hear more about what you do, they might be then resistant to answer questions.
Yeah. The framing is important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a play around with that and see what you're doing. And like I said, I've got the chat in there for anyone that does actually want to work. I've left it in the chat, does actually want to get that hands-on help.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm going to jump. I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.